This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. In the time that we've spent with him in past podcasts, we learned a lot about energy healing, shadow work, and so much more. He is a coach that helps people move their lives forward with those modalities. You can find him at returntoyourtruth.com. I'm going to take a different approach today, go a little bit deeper, and talk about something that he and his wife work with, and it's in Sedona, Tachyon Chamber, and it's something that can clear your energetic field. That's the layman's terms. We're going to get deeper than that. Jim Tourtsakis joins us once again. How you doing there, Jim?
Good. Great to be with you again, Steve.
Great to have you back with us. You brought some company, and this is your wife, Ada?
Yes, I knew I had to bring her on because she's the one that actually runs the Tachyon Chamber in Sedona. She's the one that actually looks after the clients. I'm usually behind the computer at our home office most of the time.
Gotcha. Ada, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
I hear so many great things about Sedona. And a couple of years ago, someone was tantalizing me with a retreat, making a suggestion I should go there for a retreat, all about this energy work, subconscious and everything, shadow work. I regret not going. I was in a different mindset then. Now it's on my radar because it's just, before we even get into the chamber and so much more, what is it about Sedona that supports a lot of the things that we are talking about? This is, a lot of transformation happens there. What's going on? Is there something that you could explain that we would understand?
It's an ancient temple complex, and you can see the temples. They look like stones, they look like rocks, but if you look with your third eye, you can see the temples. You can even see people in those temples, but it's at a higher dimension. So Sedona is a place that people came even in the times of the Yavapai Indians for spiritual activation, guidance. What's my next step in life? You were only supposed to stay there 21 days, and then you were supposed to go back to your regular life. So it's a temple complex.
How interesting. I'm talking about retreats. Sounds like they were doing those retreats many years ago.
This is what attracted the retreats and why Sedona is known for its whole spirituality, metaphysical theme, for lack of a better term. And yeah, it is the spiritual mecca or destination of all of North America, and so it attracts. That's why there's such a heavy concentration of healers, metaphysicians, so-called gurus, and retreats and wellness centers. Very big concentration.
Wow.
And with the Tachyon Chamber, we have been putting together some retreats based around Jim's work and Jim's type of shadow work, combined with some lectures and some information about what's going on in the world right now spiritually. We have people suddenly get contact with their off-world people and start speaking the light language. I mean, some amazing things happen in Sedona.
So one of those amazing things happening there is something known as the Tachyon Chamber, which, as I understand it, clears the energetic junk that's around us, somebody's soul field, their energetic field, and a connection to their consciousness. I'm broadly explaining this the best I can. Let's go deep into it. Can you explain it better?
It does. Well, we both explained
Well,
different ways, so.
Let's shift it back to the audience because I know your audience cares so much and has an intense desire to both heal childhood in shadow work, basically, to accelerate that, make it more seamless, but also amplify their own ability to heal, also attract the right resources, and greatly accelerate their connection to their own guidance and higher self. This is what it's centered around, and this is what it helps people with, this Tachyon Chamber.
And what it is, Jim and I actually met in Egypt for December 21st, 2012 at an activation there. And the man leading that activation later on started building these Tachyon chambers. And what he has direct contact with the Pleiadians, which is an off-world galactic race centered in the Pleiades star constellation. So he downloaded the design for this chamber. It's basically a pyramid that's the same proportions as the pyramids at Giza, obviously much smaller, made of precious metals. And then there's sacred geometry under the bed, and there's tachyonized crystals around the room. And what it is, it's a wormhole tech that allows the Pleiadians to travel in and work with people and help them. The Pleiadians can communicate directly with the soul field. And so they help them get the guidance, the healing, exactly what they need, whether that's physical healing, emotional, spiritual healing, or alignment with the life path. And it's amazing to me because we've had this for 7 years now. And it does exactly what it is supposed to do. I love being the one who works there because it's like puzzle pieces. Each person gets exactly what they need, and I don't know what that is. It's between them and the Pleiadians, and then they tell me, and it's exactly what they're working on at that time in their life.
Wow. Can you call it a case study, an example of somebody maybe had some challenges or some goals before they entered the chamber, and then what they experienced after it, X amount of sessions, however that looks?
Yes, I mean there's different things. The full tune-up is considered to be 5 sessions, but sometimes people want to just keep on going because they need to activate a little more. We obviously wanted to keep on going. That's why we got a tachyon chamber. But it sometimes, okay. The landlord, the first place we had the tachyon chamber, his daughter had wanted a baby forever. And she just couldn't get pregnant. She was doing all these fertility treatments. So she was one of the first sessions at our tachyon chamber.
Wow.
And I heard from the Pleiadians, this in vitro that she just did is no good. Like, this isn't going to work. And I was like, oh boy, I hope she doesn't blame me for this. But what happened is, no, she did not have that baby. She just said she felt relaxed. But then she gave up, got pregnant, had a perfect, beautiful little girl, and couldn't be more delighted because what she had wanted was a little girl. So they
Wow.
helped her achieve this desire of her soul and heart. And that kind of thing happens a lot, whether it's finding a new job, finding the perfect job, finding the solution to a problem, or healing from a relationship and being able to move on. Or a lot of times people just want to activate. They want better psychic abilities, or they want to be doing something more meaningful with their lives. Or
Yeah,
sometimes they want to figure out how to deal with aging. Now that the children are out of the house, they're like, what's next?
yeah, it really does accelerate, at a minimum, accelerate, let alone actualize soul, purpose, and path alignment for people that are feeling a little lost, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and they walk away with great tools, courtesy of what I then provide. So,
Sometimes people just want to believe that this non-physical realm is real. Like I had a man and a woman come, and he wasn't really believing it. She was all for it. And so I have a star tetrahedron ascension Merkaba, which is a life-size Merkaba, which is a one triangle like this and then an upside down triangle. You sit in that. It activates the Merkabas around your body. So he would go in there first to kind of open him up to really feel and receive the energies of the tachyon chamber. And then he started getting his own guidance, and he was just all in. He just activated kind of like that. And so now he and his wife are just on the same track. They're traveling around the world doing grid work. And yeah.
What do you feel when you're in the chamber and you get to that moment where there's crystallization, where it's like, okay. Do those moments exist? The oh wow moments, the epiphanies?
well, people, the short answer is yes, but it doesn't always happen on the first session if you've never done a take-on chamber session before. The first session tends to be a broad and basic clearing and accretion because these are super high frequency particles. They're considered primordial particles the first ever created. And they circumvent time and space. They're sort of outside of time, which is part of their mystery. and it greatly raises your own frequency. And people, they do feel physical sensations, if not on the first session, certainly by the third or fourth. Um, they feel all these, yeah, strange tingling sensations in their brain stem, parts of the stomach and solar plexus. So that's how they know they're real.
Memories come back of things that they need to work on. Like one man needed to work on his relationship with his father, and it had caused him to become an alcoholic. And then he found the forgiveness and he understood his father from being in the tachyon chamber.
Mm,
And he found that forgiveness in his heart after years of trying.
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it does, again, at a minimum, accelerate healing and life path direction. That's really meaningful. And
And
what's another, I mean, there's hundreds of testimonials and case studies. What's another one that stands out for
well, there
you?
was a surgeon from Louisiana who came. Now, later on, he told me he was having contact with the ships because Sedona is the number one place in the US, I think, for people to come and look for extraterrestrial contact and to see spaceships, which happens a lot. But he told me, he's like, I don't know how this works. He had a back injury. He's like, this is better than Dilaudid. Like, this just takes my pain away completely. So, I mean, it has these
Hmm.
physical effects. And I mean, the best thing for me is the alignment, the spiritual alignment, because there's also a tachyon chamber in Virginia. It's now in Marion, Virginia. And we used to go see that gentleman. His name is Joe McNamara. And at the time, we were living in a little room above my parents' garage. We'd just gotten married. He was, an Australian immigrant, couldn't work. And we were in the Appalachians. And then within 14 months, we moved to Sedona. We had our own home, our own business. That's the kind of thing it does because that was aligned with our sole purpose. And it's pretty quick.
Now, this is all about somebody's soul field and I guess cleansing it or correcting it. How do you define somebody's soul field?
I would just correct you on one thing. It's more about expressing what's in the soul field through the physically incarnated body. So when people come to do the tachyon chamber or any of the other things that we have there,
Hmm.
they are getting more of their soul in them, which is what Jim's work is all about too.
Yeah, because it's really important to tap in and better access that super high intelligence of the soul, which is a really big deal. And before we forget, we better mention tachyon particles don't actually reach the surface of the planet, which is one of the main reasons actually for entropy, aging, what have you. Astronauts have been, and this is documented as well, astronauts have been reported as feeling a euphoric feeling once they leave the Earth's atmosphere and gravitational pull. It's because they get bathed full of these tachyon particles. And the way we've hacked our way around this little issue is where I don't know if you can call it a syndicate, but the guy that built the tachyon chamber, he's got the same contraption that we have, the chamber itself, obviously smaller, on board Genesis 2 satellite. And that's within the tachyon field. And then from that, it's what is called wormholed into tachyon chambers on the surface. And that's how we bypass the veil, as it's called, or the grid, whatever you want to call it. That's a whole other story.
Using the principle of quantum entanglement with the crystals that are up in that satellite with the crystals that are in our chambers.
Yeah.
This is very woo for many. I get that. I understand that. But for that person that feels that, they're tapping into their spirituality, they get this whole energy thing. They're that far ahead of maybe others that don't have that collective consciousness yet.
Mhm.
What would you tell that person about this chamber?
Um, this is within the realm of metaphysics and science. And it's not well recognized in mainstream science, but it is common knowledge in what is referred to as classified programs within the military and agencies. Again, a whole other story that'll take 2 or 3 documentaries to know what's going on there.
Mm.
Okay.
And then basically, there are things that we refer to as awakening codes. And when your alarm clock goes off, you're like, what's happening to me? Like, why can't I sleep? Why this? And then they come searching for the answers to what happened. And they get those answers in the tachyon chamber for sure.
Ooh, okay. I mean, that you sold me already on that. Because
Yeah.
so many of us are looking for answers. Sometimes we meditate, sometimes we ask the universe. Is this essentially helping us tap a part of us that we can't do ourselves because of so many distractions or subconscious blocks and things like that?
The short answer is yes, because when you're in such a super high frequency field that these tachyon particles provide, you can go deeper. You can tune in to your guidance and intuition far better and accurately. All of a sudden, receive insights. Basically, you skip, oh God, anywhere between 6 to 12 months worth of meditative practice in 20 minutes because it's so potent that each session is kept to only 20 minutes. You know,
Wow.
we don't let it to be longer than 20 minutes because the body can only receive only so much high frequency particles
At a time.
at a time.
Okay.
That's why we stretch it over 2 or 3 days or 5 days as well for the 5 sessions.
It can make you ungrounded. So afterwards, we, advise people to go take a walk on the land or go eat something because it's highly ungrounding, all that activation. And then it's also permanent. So once you rise in frequency, you're going to stay up there.
Well, that I find very fascinating because life has a lot going on. And you could emerge from, let's say, an energy healing and you've raised your vibration. Now you go to work, your boss is saying certain things. You have, interactions with people, kind of brings you down and brings your energy down. How does this keep it up high?
It's through the way that it works with the soul field. And actually, all the work that Jim does, all the audios, all the visual codes, everything we do is designed for permanent lift in frequency. And that is what I see. People come back to me a year later and I'm like, wow, look what you did. You really
Wow.
activated. That's incredible. And I do get frustrated when I see things that it's like people feel good at the moment. They have a retreat. They maybe spend thousands of dollars on it, but it doesn't change them. This is to change, but it's not to change you in any unusual way. It's just to help you be more of who you came here to be, to remember who you are and get that self-confidence and know what you're doing and why you're here and why your mom was mean to you and heal that and get it and release it and understand what you're really supposed to be doing with your life.
Hence the
Yes, so
the name "Return to Your Truth." It's really kind of what we're, on a fundamental level talking about here. Can you describe for us what a session looks like in the tachyon chamber?
well, I better quickly add before we answer that question. It does, when people come to Sedona, they're spending a lot of money just getting there and just for accommodation. So they really want to make sure they get the absolute most out of being in Sedona. That is time and money well spent. But also, so what we do is we make sure we don't just provide a critical and important experience of raising their frequency, but also we make sure that they leave Sedona on a much higher timeline, armed with simple, easy to do tools that are still breakthrough, so they can continue to build on that critical achievement that they manifested in whilst in Sedona.
And back to your question, what a typical session looks like. We schedule the sessions about 30 minutes apart. So there's 10 minutes for talking. And usually before they go in, I just tell them what they might expect. They could feel a pressure on certain part of the body or a tingling or a warmth. A lot of times healers, people who are, they're intended to be healers, they will get their hands warm in the chamber. Emotions could come up and even sometimes random thoughts like balancing your bank account because that's something that's being worked on at the outer body levels. So, and I just tell them pay attention to everything. And if there's something that they need in their life, ask for it because the Pleiadians will heal them, hear them, and they will help them work on that. And then I get them into the chamber. You sort of back into this very comfortable bed. It comes from Europe somewhere. I don't know how this mattress is so comfortable, but under the pyramid, and then you have the option of lights on or off or dim. And I shut the door, and they're there by themselves for their session for 20 minutes. And when they come out, usually something came up for them. And because I can hear the Pleiadians, usually they give me telepathic communication. They tell me they tell me to say certain things that activate the person a little further and help them get a little context for what they experienced. And then that's it for that session. But my favorite are the clients who come for the 5-session activation. So they may come maybe Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. And there you go. That's your 5 sessions because you can do 2 a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You say you get downloads, Ada, when somebody's in the chamber. What is that experience like?
It's just a thought comes in my mind. That's like for one silly thing, it's a 20-minute session. And sometimes the Pleiadians need 2 extra minutes or, 3. And they're just like, they'll either distract me or they'll just let me know directly. And they'll say, okay, go get them now. And then, I will start thinking about things. They use reference points from my life or anything I've studied or read or any pieces of knowledge in my brain, and they kind of light it up. One time, I started talking to a client about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Well, he was a scientist, and that's what he needed to think about that to solve a problem he was working on for something he was inventing.
So
Yeah,
this
things like that happen.
just dropped in the sky, and then you shared it. And on a very basic level, I've had Reiki before, where the practitioner said, "I have to tell you something. Something came up during the session." And she revealed certain things, in my life, nothing so like super personal, but it was spot on. And she wouldn't have known those things. And it's just like once I had a Reiki session and the practitioner, and this was virtual. I didn't even talk to the person. She texted me and she said, "I don't know what it is, but I got a picture of you taking me through reeds and weeds on a little boat. And we're looking at sea life. And I don't know what that is, but I got to share it with you." She had no idea that my Zen is kayaking, and I choose salt water and I go in shallow water because I can see the sea life. And that's my happy place. And the reeds and the weeds and just looking at everything that came up. It seems like almost the same thing where you got that download, from somebody that's in the chamber. It's just the energy. The energy is out there.
That's a kind of experience, but you don't, that many people have, but without having to be some professional practitioner that was always intuitive or always born a psychic or anything like that.
Sure.
It's for the common deprived person out there who wants these sorts of experience.
Because this is all our natural birthright, all these gifts and abilities. It's for everybody. So the part of what this is about is activating everyone to that level, which is what we were born to be.
Well, you talk about crystals. Isn't it true that we have crystals in our body? We are just connecting. When we walk around with crystals, I've got them there. I've got them right over there. We're connecting with the ones within, using the external ones that around us that come on the earth. We're out of time. Fascinating.
Yes.
So many more questions, but basically, if somebody is interested, has questions, wants to learn more, what's the best route?
You can find a link at returntoyourtruth.com, but the direct link is Sedona Tachyon, that's Tachyon, healing.com.
Yeah, that's the actual brick and mortar website. That's the one to go to directly. For returntoyourtruth.com, that's if you want to free 5 archways of shadow work course.
Wow. Final question, real quick. How many of these chambers exist in the United States now? Do you know?
I think at about 20.
Okay. All right. Well,
It might be less than that. It's not too many, but I can also tell people where to find one near them.
not being negative on any area, if you're going to do it, Sedona, hello, for all the reasons that you just described.
Yeah, and it is a real take-on chamber. There's another kind that's not exactly, I wouldn't say not real, not as strong. That works in a different way. That's not connected to a Genesis 2
That's a
satellite.
good point. This super strong one will never have a picture of the chamber on the website because that's what we promised the guy who builds them.
Yeah, it's very proprietary.
Except no imitations. Jim, Ada, thank you very much for sharing this today. Fascinating, and looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.